Hi, I'm Jamey Stegmaier from Stegmaier Games, and I am excited today to talk about a few games thanks to the Better Board Games 2023 Advent Calendar. I run a company called Stegmaier Games based in St. Louis. I'm the lead designer here, but we do publish games from other designers as well. As a designer, I'm probably best known for Viticulture and Scythe, and most recently Expeditions. And other games that we publish that we're fairly known for are Wingspan, Charterstone, Between Two Cities, Between Two Castles, and most recently a game that I will talk about in a few minutes as one of my selections for today. Although two of the games I selected are games that we didn't publish and games that I just love. At Stegmaier Games, in addition to being the lead designer and running the company, I also have a game design YouTube channel where you're welcome to join me to talk about my love of games, my favorite mechanisms in games, and I also talk about crowdfunding and entrepreneurship on the Stegmaier Games blog. So today I'm talking about three games. These are prompts given to me by Thomas at Better Board Games. The first category is my favorite or my earliest game love, the earliest game that I love. My first board game love, and I have a couple of them. I played a lot of games as a kid, but one of the ones that I still own and I still love today, so one of my earliest loves that I still enjoy today is Scotland Yard. This is a hidden movement game. I'm trying to see what the date is back here. 1991. This is my 1991 copy of Scotland Yard. I would have been 10 years old around the time that I got this game, and I was fascinated by this game. This is a hidden movement game where 5 players, or up to 5 players, are working together to figure out where Mr. or Mrs. X is hiding in Scotland Yard, or in London. And it's a very simple, very streamlined hidden movement game. But I think it works really, really well. And it still holds up today. I still have a lot of fun playing Mr. X in Scotland Yard and trying to figure out where Mr. X is in London if I'm playing as part of the team of players. And I think part of the reason I really love it is that it is simple and streamlined. There's very little added to the game, very few mechanisms added to the game. So it's very easy to teach, very easy to play, very easy to get back to the table and remember how to play. But also, I really like it as a hidden movement game specifically because you get to see where Mr. or Mrs. X is fairly frequently and fairly early on. So in many hidden movement games, you're stumbling around in the dark for a long period of time, not knowing where the hidden person is. In this game, on turn 3, you know exactly where they are. And yet it is still really, really difficult to find them and pinpoint exactly where they are. So I love that aspect of Scotland Yard, that you are given that information, and yet it is still very difficult. It's a very difficult puzzle to solve. This is one of my first game loves, and one that I still love to get to the table today. That's Scotland Yard. My next pick, the category is Hottest Love. There are a few different ways to interpret this category of games, but I interpret it as a game that is has plenty of buzz right now in terms of the greater game community and game industry. A game that is a fairly recent release and one that I have enjoyed multiple times. So not just one that I've played one time or two times, but a game that I've played around a half dozen times at this point, and I'm still really, really loving. And that is the game Earth. I found that I really love tableau building, engine building games. And Earth satisfies and scratches that itch quite a bit, especially if those games have a ton of unique cards in them. And that is very much the case in Earth. You can see some of the cards in this game. How many total games? 283 total Earth cards. And there are a bunch of other cards, too, that are used for different purposes. I guess, no, all those cards are in the Earth category. But there's a bunch of different cards that you add to your tableau, but there are other cards that end up being placed on your board during setup. There are even other cards that are used for common goals for all the players. But the hook about Earth that I really love in terms of this engine building, tableau building aspect is that most of the game is played simultaneously. One player will choose an action, and not only will all other players get a more basic version of that action at the same time that you'll take simultaneously, but also based on the color of that action, each player will also simultaneously activate all cards in their tableau of that color. This is, I find, to be really, really satisfying in Earth, that on every turn you are engaged, and not just engaged in a little action way, but you are running a significant part of your engine when it isn't even your turn, and that feels really, really good in Earth. I'm also loving the variety of play. I've now played a game of Earth that has felt the same. Every game has felt different, and I continue to return to it, I think, because of the sheer amount of replayability in the game and the ability to really go deep into a certain strategy in any given game and still have it feel very different than when you went into a similar strategy in a previous game. I love Earth. I love building my island, my world in Earth, and this is my pick for the hottest game category. The last category is newest love. So a very recent game to me that I really love. And I love a lot of games. I've played a lot of games recently that I've really enjoyed. But the game, completely honestly, the game that I've played the most recently that I also still love and I'm eager to get back to the table is a Stegmaier game. I'm not here to advocate or promote Stegmaier games, but I'm going to mention things because this is honestly my pick for this category. And that is our newest release, Apiary from designer Connie Volgeman. I have had a blast teaching and playing Apiary over the last month and a half to a bunch of different players. Apiary is a game about space bees. It's an asymmetric 5-player game about bees that have taken to space, bees that have evolved and advanced in their technology, and they have taken to space. You are building a hive with those bees. There are 5 asymmetrical hive mats that you're building off of. You're choosing one of them. And there are 20 different factions in the game, including 5 starter factions and 15 more advanced factions. So I've had fun combining different factions with different hive mats. You're growing your hive mat. You are exploring the galaxy, the solar system, and beyond, probably the galaxy. And you're doing bee stuff. You're building your hive with these hex-shaped tiles. You are you're teaching dances. So Connie, the designer, took aspects of real life bees, real world bees, and extrapolated them into what they would look like if bees became even more advanced, if they became kind of the humanoid species in the future. And so but they still have these primal instincts where they're teaching dances to other bees. This is something that bees do to convey information and recognize patterns. You're researching new technologies. You're getting these seed cards. You're growing. And the worker placement system in this game is superb. I really, really love the worker placement system. In the worker placement system in Apiary, there's no blocking. You're always bumping workers. And when you bump workers or retrieve your workers from the board, you are leveling them up. They're gaining strength. And so they're becoming more powerful, but they're also moving towards hibernation when you have to retire that bee, return that miniature to the supply, and potentially gain it in the future as a new bee. So this element of bees becoming stronger, leveling up to level 4, which is really, really strong when you place a level 4 worker. And then when you hibernate, when you bump or retrieve and have to hibernate a level 4 worker, it still feels pretty good because you get a bonus and there's a little endgame majority scoring. There's more I could talk about. There's so much that I really love about this game. It's kind of a couple different mini games combined into one worker placement game. But I'm loving Apiary, and it really is the newest love for me in the board game world. I hope you get the chance to try it. So yeah, those are my picks: Scotland Yard, Earth, and Apiary. I hope whatever game that you decide to get this holiday season, I hope that you enjoy it and that it brings joy to your tabletop. Thanks for following along. And again, you can follow along more at stegmaiergames.com. I'm on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube if you want to talk about game design and my love of games there. You can find us wherever you'd like. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these games there, or maybe in the comments below. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jamey, for being part of our Adventskalender this year. Great choices. Morgen um 8 Uhr öffnet sich bereits das nächste Türchen und da erwartet euch wieder ein spannender Gast. Ich hoffe, ihr seid dabei und hier auf der Seite findet ihr die bisherigen Adventskalenderbeiträge verlinkt. Bis dann.